As you walk through the valley of the shadow of hell, you will realize that there is something ahead. Something that lurks behind the dark veil. A veil that is beyond our own comprehension. Beyond the void.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to Beyond the Void
Horror Podcast.
Aw, shit, another female host. Who may it be? Well, you'll find out here in just a second. First off, I want to say this is our episode 160. We're literally rounding about 200 episodes now. So 200 individual posts of the podcast since we started. I'm really excited about that. That's a lot of hours, dude. But today we're going to be talking about two movies.
Planet Terror.
And Cabin in the Woods. Yep. So welcome, Christina. This is my girlfriend. She's here. She's filling in.
Hi.
Yeah. She was excited to do this episode, and I let her pretty much pick the movies for this one.
Yeah, so sorry if you don't like these movies, but they're my favorite movies.
And not only that, actually, I think we might have done both of these, or at least one of these, but we've done We've done so many movies now that I don't even remember. I should have written all these down.
You should have put them in an Excel spreadsheet,
right.
A responsible podcaster.
Yeah, whatever, dude. I just started becoming responsible now that I know how to actually work it, Website, groups, social media. Thanks to Christina, who's literally been grounding that into my head for, I don't know, since I've known you. So how are you doing, though?
Oh, I'm fine.
Are you excited about this? Are you nervous?
No, I haven't. I've been on your show a few times.
I know.
I haven't been on since Hereditary, which was like a year and a half ago.
Oh, God. Thank God, huh? And then you were on for It, and you did episode where we did
Ghosts.
Dating a horror fan.
Yeah, we did that one too. I like the Paranormal Activity.
Oh, yeah, that's right. You did that one too.
Yeah, you should have me on, and we should do another one like that.
Okay.
We can tell our ghost stories and shit again. We can give updates.
So Christina is, she's very excited about this episode. She took a lot of notes. I'm looking at it. I'm like, holy shit. You might have to cut some of that out. Jesus. Printed it out on paper. She's a murderer of trees, guys.
I don't want to waste my phone battery. And you're on your phone all day. It's like,
oh man, I do all of my notes on the Google fucking Keep app. Mm-hmm. And I have so many fucking notes, dude. It's like I wrote a paper for each of these. You know what I mean? It's crazy, dude. But, so yeah, we've been hanging out watching movies and TV shows lately. What shows have we been watching that we just finished up? I forget now.
We just finished up Nosferatu. I said that wrong.
Yeah, yes.
I always do. I always call it Nostradamus.
Nostradamus. I'm like, it's not Nostradamus. But we watched that. What did you think of that, by the way?
It was good. The second season, I don't think it's going to be that good. It didn't end.
I know. I just know where it's going to go. We can't talk about it because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. Right. But I will say my personal opinion on the show is that I was definitely interested. They made the story stretch quite a bit. There was a couple of parts that I was like, come on, I've never read the book that they worked on together. Then they work on a book together, Joe Hill and Stephen King.
I thought the book was written by Joe Hill. I don't know.
Maybe it was. Maybe you're right. And I'm getting confused with something else because there's the other show. I think it was In the Tall Grass.
Oh, yeah. I think that one.
There's so many, right?
They wrote together. And then we've been watching Creep Show.
Oh, yeah. We've been doing that. I've been doing all the YouTube videos and reviews lately, guys. So if you haven't been tuning into the YouTube channel, please do.
For each episode.
Yeah, we do each episode on there. We also, but some people just like to listen to the podcasts. Typically, don't care about going to YouTube, like podcast listeners.
Right.
But if you want to get some video reviews and stuff like that, I've been doing that stuff a lot lately. I'm going to be adding, like I mentioned this before for some of you guys, but we're going to be doing a new project where it's storytelling, 5-10 minute segments on YouTube that I'm going to craft, kind of like we do in Grave Plots, but not making it up on the spot. It'll be already made and just like ready to order, get you in the atmosphere, get you into the story really quick, rough and dirty, fucking throw the towel on me.
You just have to do it.
I know, but
don't.
It's
you got too much going on.
It's supposed to be for the break. Remember?
Right.
We were going to do 6 of them.
Oh, the break? You mean the break you're supposed to be on right now?
Yeah.
See, this is why Alex won't let me have the show. We bicker.
I don't really think that's bickering.
Well, you know what I mean. It's funny bickering, but this is how we...
Yeah, but
anyway.
I think that I think you guys will enjoy it, though. The break I'm supposed to be on, I got moved... I moved it to November because it's Halloween.
Right.
And this is when everybody's interested in horror. What kind of horror fan or show would I be to just abandon everything in the hot spot of the fucking show? You know what I mean? Like, so anyway, but yeah, guys, look forward to that. If you haven't followed the YouTube, please do. There's links in all of our stuff to find YouTube. You can look up Beyond the Void Horror Podcast. So thanks for the reminder, Christina.
You're
And
welcome.
this advertisement's been brought to you by Christina's drinking water. I'm drinking, so she won't be taking any alcohol with me. But she's actually got a real job and has to work like in the morning too. So it's like, fuck. We do have something we're going to be doing today. We're going to be actually drawing a winner.
It's your monthly BTV box.
Yes, that's right. We got a huge box full of movies. And it seems like Christina, she puts these together, by the way. So thank you, Christina.
You're welcome.
Say thank you, everybody.
You're welcome.
Everyone.
You're welcome.
Somebody.
Well, wait. I do put a lot of effort into these boxes, and I theme them up every month. So, like this month, it's a Halloween box, of course. So it's full of Halloween stuff, and I paint them.
Yeah.
And last month, I did a whole movie box where it was just like popcorn stuff and movie.
She gets
candy
fancy
and stuff. Yeah, I try to theme it up.
But yeah, so there's I think there's 7 movies in here. Yeah, 7 fucking movies in here. I won't say what they are, but there is a picture that is up this week. So if you haven't signed up for the podcast email that we actually have up called the BTV VIP Club, you can go to longlivethevoid.com to sign up. And we do a monthly giveaway each month, so if you live within the U.S., we'll send this box out to you. If you live in the side of Canada, we've changed things up for you guys a little bit. We had some hassles with sending it out there, so we didn't want to fucking, we're not exactly rich doing what we do here. We're just, doing it because we love it, and we love you guys. So if you live in Canada or elsewhere outside of the United States or anywhere, we'll send you out a gift card to Amazon. We'll hit you up through the email and then give you the code or whatever you need to do there so you can just use it right away, right?
Right.
So at least that way you guys get something. But for now, until we become big and famous, thanks to you guys for sharing the episode and everything. We'll send out the box only in the United States for now until we figure out a better way to do it. So we're going to pull somebody's name right now. Do you want to help me pick?
Sure.
Okay, so I'm going to scroll the wheel here, okay? And then it's I've got the whole page listed up, so I'm going up, down, and then you're going to pick one. Just tell me when to stop.
Stop.
Okay, it looks like Senor Scary. Actually, I know who that is, on Twitter. Yeah, Senor, you are the winner.
Congratulations, Senor.
Yes. So thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Really appreciate your support. So if you have, wherever you are, we'll send you out something. Just I'm going to send you out an email while we're recording this. And then if you hit me back, hit me back as soon as you can. If not, if we don't hear back from you or for some reason you don't want it, we will give it to somebody else. But for now, you are the winner, so congratulations. Like I said, we do this every month, guys. Christina and I go out and pick movies, and we really take pride in giving this out as a way to say thanks for listening. So if you guys haven't signed up for the VIP club, you're missing out. That's all I could say. All you have to do is go to longlivethevoid.com, but congratulations, Senior Scary. Thanks again. So I think it might be that time.
Aw, shit.
Horrorshots! All right, so we are back, and we're going to be doing our horror shot for this week, and Christina picked this one and made this one up herself. So if it tastes great, you can blame her, and if it tastes like shit, you can still blame her.
And someone actually needs to actually do it and send it to us, because
Right.
I don't drink.
Yeah, if one of you guys makes it, we'll give you a shout out, at least retweet or whatever the hell you put it up on for sure, because we always appreciate it. We do this just because it's fun. We do try to take our time to think about like what we'll mix. Sometimes they're great, sometimes they're not.
And we think about it like while we're watching movies and stuff, like, oh, well, what could
Yeah,
work?
what would be the shot for this one? Yeah. It's like totally. And Christina, by the way, guys, is the person who came up with the idea for horror shots to begin with. So that is, you can thank her for that.
It's
actually,
fun.
It is fun. Actually, I like it. It's another dimension
Right.
to BTV.
And this one is off Planet Terror,
Yeah.
and it's the Bone Shack, which was the barbecue place.
So it's called the Bone Shack, which is JD's Bone Shack.
JT's.
JT. Oh, bye. Close. Anyway.
Oh, it's JT's barbecue sauce.
Yes. Which was very, very his prized possession that he wouldn't even share with his actual brother, and they had like a feud going on for it. But in this shot, I will tell you what's in it. Christina came up with these ingredients, so fair warning. I just don't want to take blame for this, Christina.
Okay.
It doesn't sound that bad, actually. I mean, we've mixed some of these ingredients together before, actually.
Yeah.
So in this shot, it's a rimmed shot. So what a rim shot is you basically put the lip of the rim of the shot glass, and you're going to put it in barbecue sauce, spicy if you fancy. Then you're going to, of course, put a third of dark rum of your choice, a third of root beer, your choice, and a third of Jägermeister. And then what do we say at the very end when you shoot it?
I never miss.
Yes. Which me and her have been making jokes about, like, anytime we see somebody pregnant, we're like, they never miss. So, Patrick, if you're listening, he's probably not. But anyway, guys, so if you would like to try a Bone Shack or the Bone Shack, all you have to do is go to longlivethevoid.com and check out our hashtag Horrorshot section now. That's it for Horror Shots. And now we're going to go ahead and jump into our flesh and potatoes of
Planet Terror
and Cabin in the Woods.
Right now.
All right, guys, so we're back, and we're going to go ahead and jump into our flesh and potatoes. But first, I must partake in some Jack Daniels and Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Why didn't we make you the horror shot? We have barbecue sauce.
I'm just the whore. I almost wonder, like, if I just, like, quietly don't say the R now, just because I'm like, horror shots, you know? Like, it's so silent. Anyway. So we're going to kick it off with Planet Terror first, which Christina did all the work on this, so
Yes.
buckle the fuck up and let's jump into Planet Terror. Christina, kick it off.
Get ready for me.
Don't fuck it up. I'm just kidding.
Don't, you're making me nervous. All right, Planet Terror. It was released in 2007. It was part of the Grindhouse project thing.
It was
I don't know what to call
it. It was
it.
an experience
Yeah, experience
between Quentin Tarantino and
Robert Rodriguez.
yeah.
But we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to focus on Planet Terror.
Right.
So Planet Terror was directed and written by Robert Rodriguez, and he also composed most of it. There's a lot of people who star in this movie, but I'm just going to go through the main ones, and there's a lot of cameos and whatnot. Rose McGowan, who plays Cherry Darling. She's mostly known for her work in Charms.
Right.
She also did movies Doom Generation.
Oh, I remember.
I think that was her first movie. And then she was in Scream.
That's a hard one to get, too, on DVD now.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. She was in Scream. Also, Freddie Rodriguez. I don't know why, but I always get him confused with John Leguizamo.
Really?
I kept thinking, I was like, oh yeah, Freddie Rodriguez, he was in Spawn. And then I was looking this up and I was like, why isn't Spawn a part of this? I was like, oh my God, that's John Leguizamo.
Well, and not only that, where has that guy been? Like, has he been doing anything? Like,
no, not really. And he really hasn't done much. Actually, I'm sorry, I take that back.
Miss.
I take that back because he's mostly a voice actor now.
Okay.
He was in, I forget what roles he was in, but he did a lot of, in the Spider-Verse, the animated
Into
series.
the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, Into the Spider-Verse. He did a lot of voices in that. He's mostly known for Poseidon.
Yeah. The newer one, is it newer?
2006.
Yeah, so it's the reboot.
It was right
because the
before
original
this
is
one.
Poseidon Adventure, which is funny because I was just talking about that when when we
really?
got the Towering Inferno. It's one of those movies.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that. And he was also in this movie with Christian Bale called Harsh Times.
Okay.
Oh, he also was in Lady in the Water.
Right, he had the big arm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is like one
You
of
hated the movie.
I hated Lady in the Water.
I like it.
I walked out of the theater, or I wanted to. I don't remember, but God, I just remember.
We're gonna have to watch that again just to see.
We are. I'll admit
I bet you it's one of those
rewatch it.
movies. It just was like the time it wasn't that great.
Yeah.
And it was
I just-
people expecting some sort of horror thing, and they were like, "What the fuck is
what
this Fable bullshit?"
Yeah, it was all over the place. That's why it was pissing me off. But anyway, okay, going on. Josh Brolin, who played Dr. William Block. He, of course, was Thanos in the Avengers.
Yeah.
He was also. Do you know who he was in Deadpool 2?
Of course.
He was Cable.
Yeah. Those are easy.
And then he was in Sin City,
And
which was also directed by Robert Rodriguez.
right.
He was also in Old Boy,
Oh yeah.
which is I put that one in there because I forgot.
That movie isn't too bad, but it kind of jumps the shark on the changing the story. I know they wanted to be different, but I don't know. I like the original better. But he's still good in it. So
Right. And then also Marley Shelton, who plays Dr. Dakota Block, the These Are My Friends lady.
oh yeah,
She really hasn't done that much that I recognized, and not much. Oh, recently she's in a TV show called Rise, which I've never heard of. But she's mostly known, besides for this movie, Never Been Kissed she was in, which I remember in that movie.
okay.
And then there's cameos from Bruce Willis, and also in the beginning, right before Bruce Willis does his cameo, there's Abby, who's a scientist. His name's Abby. That is Naveen Andrews. He was in Lost.
Oh, okay.
And that's pretty much.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty much. And I'm only saying that because I was obsessed with Lost at the time.
Well, there's so many people in this movie. We'd spend an hour just telling you everyone that's in it. It's like Cameo
Right.
City. Plus,
Right.
it's Michael Biehn is the police officer.
Right. Oh, I thought. Is that how you say his last name?
Michael Biehn.
Oh, I
Biehn.
thought it was Bane.
It's Biehn, I think.
Right.
I'm pretty sure, but yeah, he was
Right.
in, of course, the Aliens movie.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Just so you guys know, this is my favorite movie.
Right.
It's not just my favorite horror movie. It's literally my favorite movie. It's my favorite rom-com. It's my it's my favorite drama. I really.
And the budget on it, wasn't it like 60 million?
Yeah, it was $67 million, but that was the Grindhouse budget.
Right,
I
so they
couldn't find
split it,
anything to split it up, and then Robert Rodriguez really wanted to make a low budget looking horror movie. And another thing, Quentin Tarantino was always on the set. Every interview, everyone would say he was always around, he was always there, because he wanted to make sure they weren't going to go over that side of the budget, because whatever,
Yeah, guys. So listen, about the budget.
I don't.
That's my impersonation.
Because it would take away from him doing Death Proof.
Right,
So
of course.
that's why, which makes sense. But Robert Rodriguez really went to town on making a low budget movie. Because what do you do when you make a low budget movie?
Yeah.
You use your family, you use your friends, you use your locations.
Who you work well with.
Yeah.
Everything.
All that.
Yeah.
So a lot of the movie.
It's not that low budget, though.
No. I think it seemed like a lot of the budget was done on the special effects because he did practical and special effects like intermixed. And then the way he filtered the film to make it look old, they did like this layering thing, which was it was really cool the way he explained it. But anyway, let's talk about what Planet Terror was about. After an experimental biochemical agent known as DC-2, codenamed Project Terror, is accidentally released at a remote U.S. military base in Texas, those that were exposed to this gas turned into flesh-eating zombies. An assortment of various people who included go-go dancer Cherry, her shady mechanic ex-boyfriend Ray, a strong-willed doctor, who's Dr. Block, a local sheriff, and an assortment of various people must join forces to survive.
So basically just DC2, whatever, got out and people go crazy. But most people know what this is anyway. That's probably somebody's long-winded attempt at what the story's about. Usually the people that write those, they go a little long-winded.
Oh, I wrote those.
Oh. I'm sorry. I'm like, God damn, you're like telling the whole story. Like, what's going on here?
I was trying to wrap it up just in case somebody hadn't seen the movie. So it kind of explained, like, there's a lot going on in the movie.
Just to clarify, guys, so you know I'm not a fucking asshole here. On IMDb, people put their synopsis in there, and usually the good ones are about 3 sentences long at most.
Right.
But there's people on there with 7 paragraphs.
Oh, there was a guy. There was one I read on there, and he put the script on there.
Right. That's why I was like,
ridiculous.
I assumed you got it from IMDb.
Nope.
Okay, well, okay.
I mod podged it.
Well, next time, don't make it so long, I guess. I'm kidding. I'm sorry. God, I feel like an asshole. So,
okay.
Anyway.
Okay, so what did you think about the movie?
I think this is just like a fucking fun-ass movie. It's like such a shame that Grindhouse in general didn't take off like it should have, because for me, it was a really big experience.
I know why this movie didn't do well, but we'll talk about that later.
In the trivia.
Yeah.
Okay. I went to see it the day before that it released. It was like the day before my birthday, so it was like a real big treat, and I was like a huge fan of this fucking experience. I went like 2 or 3 times. And like, I know that there was a lot of gripes at the time about the second half of it being slow, and everybody was like, 3 hours? Like, what the fuck? I'm like, you sat through the fucking Hobbit. You sat through the fucking Lord of the Rings, you know what I mean? Although, I don't know, this might have been before that, but still. Back then, though, the theater, they had both movies with all the fake trailers, which I fucking absolutely love the whole thing. Supposedly, when this came out in the theaters, it only made like $25 million. And I remember being so fucking angry at everyone for not supporting a film like this, because we as like the horror community and, you know, always beg for like a fun idea to come out, like, you know, to put money behind like cool, funny ideas. And they actually got one and nobody went out and supported it. So I don't know. Maybe it was just like daunting to see 2 movies back to back like that for people, or it just wasn't a hot spot for fucking horror at that moment. I don't know what it was, but I just feel like it could have been a really good chance to show Hollywood that, you know, this niche little thing that they think is actually worth something. But you never know at the box office these days, you know? Like, but in any case, the 2 movies they showed, Planet Terror and Death Proof. Obviously, Death Proof was more, in my opinion, leaning towards the like wilder sense of like exploitative car thriller kind of movie. Although some people call it like a slasher on wheels, which I totally get and I totally appreciate, but it just felt like an exploitation film from like back in the day, you know, to me, but with a lot of talking.
A lot of talking.
Yeah, and a lot of people weren't like it, but if you watch it again, I think it's actually a decent movie. It's just not as good as Planet Terror, in my opinion. But Planet Terror, to me, was the biggest part of the experience. It's ridiculous and wild, awesome, gory, fun. It runs the gamut of everything. It's funny as shit, too. Like, there's so many great lines in it. Plus, it's got, like, really stylish, kind of, like, ridiculous throwback acting. I really don't even understand how anyone could hate this movie. You know, like, I don't think anybody should, but I guess maybe there are people out there. Back then, there weren't really that many films that try to do that kind of old retro pastiche sort of thing with movies. If there were, they weren't really popular, and this, like, hit the mainstream big, and it kind of started, like, a subgenre of that retro horror pastiche thing. in a lot of ways, even though a lot of people were fans of it and it probably happened naturally, but this like labeled it. I think personally this is probably one of Rodriguez's most fun movies.
Best movie.
I like some of his other stuff too, so it's like it's hard for me to just say best, but for me it definitely is like a 9. There's just so many moments that hit hard to pick any favorite scenes. Like I could have sat and wrote down this entire movie because there's that many fucking scenes. But I would say like this movie's like a 9, and because I would watch it anytime. I don't even know why I haven't watched it as much lately. But it is just, I don't know, it's so good to me.
It's a good Halloween movie.
You think?
Yes, because it's so...
Well, there's really nothing like it. Like, you see all these... There's like the Hell of the Living Dead, which is like toxic zombies. That's about the closest thing. And there's this other one, I think it's called Toxic Zombies. Like, literally toxic zombies, where these kids smoke this weed out in the field that's like covered in something, and they turn into zombies. When it's also the Return of the Living Dead, you know, stuff like that. But yeah, what about you? What did you think of your favorite movie?
No, because when I first...
If it's your favorite movie, it's got to be a 10, right?
Well, it's a 9.5. A 9.5.
Okay.
There was one part of the movie I could not stand. And it would have been a 10 if Quentin Tarantino wasn't in the movie.
Okay.
That character, and it wasn't just because he was like creepy.
Just creepy. Oh.
But it wasn't even that. It wasn't the character. It was like how he acted it. I think he did a horrible job at it.
So what do you mean? Like, what exactly is it about that? It's just that is a negative mark against the movie because of him in the movie?
Yeah, just because of him and that whole scene with Quentin Tarantino.
Okay, what specifically though are you?
I don't like the way he acted the part.
Yeah.
He's just not a good actor.
Right. Well, yeah, but I mean, in the same regard, I'm not saying you're wrong. What I am saying is that it's supposed to be bad acting.
Well, yes.
So
and no,
in a way, it kind of works.
No, not for me.
Well, for those movies back in the day, that's the only reason I'm saying that is because for those movies back in the day, they are very sexually creepy and stuff. And I know that it's not the creepy part that bothered you; it's just his acting in general.
Right, because there were other creepy, like gross guys in there, and I mean they were fine. It worked.
I thought it was a funny part,
not.
like because his thing. Anyway, we don't want to spoil it for anybody who hasn't seen it, but
right. And then and just the whole movie in general is just so ridiculous and over the top.
Do you like the theme of the whole zombies and the gas? Is that a big thing too, or
no? It could have been anything.
Really? Okay.
It really could have been
the
anything.
Tone you
yeah.
liked.
And I liked Cherry's character, and then just the whole. Obviously, she loses her leg because it's on the poster, and that whole scenario and how that comes about.
Okay.
I like all that.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
It is
and
pretty ridiculous.
All the one-liners. Oh, and all the characters. The doctors, both the doctors, the crazy babysitter twins.
Yeah, well, the back and forth between the characters is so fun. You know, just even like just moments in the car when they almost hit a deer.
Right.
You know, things like that are just like everybody's like on point in this and their roles.
Right.
And like it is in some ways it is kind of ridiculous writing, in some ways it's ridiculous acting, but for the most part it was like catered to be that way in my opinion. So
totally.
So it's hard to like distinguish where is it a good movie or a bad movie, but it's a great movie. So
right.
To me for that reason, but yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Why is this one of your favorite ones? Like what other ones do you like? Like the movies that you think you could compare it to?
Well, I would compare it to Cabin in the Woods.
Okay.
Just ridiculous factor. And I'm really into like gory horror comedies.
Yes, you like Black Sheep.
Yeah, I like Black Sheep. I would totally put this.
But you also like The Shining and some other stuff.
All the classic Hereditary and like that sort of stuff too. But it's just the whole element of ridiculous, over the top stuff.
Just
I
have
really
fun.
Like. Yeah.
Do you like Dead Alive? I don't remember.
Yeah, I like Dead Alive.
Okay, because did I show you that?
No, I saw it before.
Okay.
You. Yeah, and Meet the Feebles and all that I saw.
I feel like you cheated on me.
What? Before I met you? I cheated on you before I even met you.
That motherfucker's dead! It's just one of those things. It's like, you know, like with John Hale, who the director of the Conduit guys, who's in the Twitch chat a lot of the times and is good buddy. He's actually did an episode with us for his short film that he was doing and raising money for the first time he started the Kickstarter, and then did it the second time. We sent him out a copy of Videodrome. And I haven't heard back from him, so I'm worried he hated it because he knows how much I love it.
Yeah.
But I still am proud that I'm the first person that showed it to him. So
Right.
you know what I mean? So anyway, so you said 9.5, maybe 9?
Yeah.
What are you leaning on more, just out of curiosity? Where does it lean?
Like between 9 and 9.5.
Yeah, I know that sounds weird, but like
I don't even like doing points, but I was just like, well, I don't. It's not a 10, but it's almost a 10. That's where I lean. It's almost a 10. If it wasn't for him,
I'm kind of right there with you, because I could definitely see a sequel of this.
Oh yeah,
if they could, but they would never be able to now.
Oh no.
It's so many years have passed. It's like ridiculous.
Well, that doesn't need a sequel.
No,
they have a sequel. They've already.
But can you just in an alternate world? Can you imagine for a second that Grindhouse took off and it was one of the #1 selling movies ever, like Avengers or some shit like that? You know what I mean? And it was like, well, Avengers Endgame, whatever. But they pushed that to make it happen. But can you imagine if it had that kind of pull?
I think it would have done better nowadays with streaming than it would have done out in the theater, because people were complaining about Endgame being 3 hours. I mean, 3 hours is a long time, no matter how good. I did go see Grindhouse. I saw it opening night, and I saw it 2 more times in the theater, because when I went opening night, the guy sitting next to me would not shut the fuck up, and I was enjoying myself so much, but I had to go again, so I went the next day. But I had somebody with me, so I had to sit through Death Proof again. Oh my God, I'm so glad Planet Terror was the first movie. And then the third time I just went and watched Planet Terror and I left.
Right. Well, because
I liked it so much.
The thing that I think about is like why they chose to do both of them at the same time. Like, I get the whole drive-in experience, the whole like way it was back in the 70s and 80s and shit like that. But there's also like, I almost wonder if they were like, the studio was like, hey guys, can we break these up? Because we could probably make a lot more money.
Right.
And they were like, no, we don't want to have a dick comparison competition. You know what I mean?
Right,
like, whose dick is bigger?
Right.
Even though, obviously Rodriguez has the bigger dick in this one.
Right.
or vagina, if you guys want to go there. But whatever. Like, I just wonder, like, if they would have done it separately. Like, if it would have done it. But, yeah.
But if they didn't do it separately, we wouldn't have had all the fake trailers.
Right. That's the other thing. That was part of the experience. And for the longest time, guys, for those of you who have never seen these movies, they have these fake trailers that are in there that are fucking by, like, who's the guy that did Shaun of the Dead?
Oh, I don't remember.
Edgar Wright. That's his name. Edgar Wright did the Don't segment.
Oh, yeah.
The trailer, which, to be honest, I really like that trailer. Like, there's so many fucking crazy things that are going on there. Could you imagine if Edgar Wright were to make Don't? Like, I swear to God, guys, if I get like $100 million, I'm going to spend $50 million and tell Edgar Wright to make that movie with like Robert Rodriguez and make it fucking happen. You know what I mean? Like, get it done, guys. I want to see this spook house fucking movie, And then they have like Rob Zombie, who does a fake trailer. You have Eli Roth, who did a trailer. And then, of course, obviously Robert Rodriguez was so influenced, he did Machete, the trailer, which turned into a movie. So, but I guess it'd probably be a good time to get into the spoiler section with trivia, since we're kind of traipsing on that anyway. So, but yeah, guys, if you haven't seen it, like, please do. Like, I would find it hard pressed to find many people who haven't seen this movie by now. I think it's gotten much more popular since it released.
Right.
That's what I was going to say, is that when they released it on Blu-ray and DVD, you could only buy the movies individually.
Right.
Because they were trying to recoup some of their money because they lost so much. And then later on, they sold it as the
Blu-ray double.
Yeah, so that you could watch it like you saw it in the theater.
Right.
Which I own.
Right.
But it does have a good bit of extras in there, though, huh?
Yeah, it does.
Okay.
I watched them all. They were really good.
Yeah. Well, why don't you go ahead and jump into the trivia? This is a spoiler section, guys, so...
All right, so this is a Weinstein Company movie.
Right.
Right? And you remember what we were saying about the budget? It was like $67 million for the Grindhouse.
Right.
So this movie did not make that much money, and there's reasons why. And Harvey Weinstein actually cut the advertising for this movie, and it's said to be because Rose McGowan is in this movie.
Oh.
Now, Harvey Weinstein demanded Robert Rodriguez not put her in this movie.
Because she turned him down for sex.
Right. A while back, which came to be true. since he's not around anymore. But Rose McGowan was dating Robert Rodriguez at the time, so he wanted her in this movie, like, really bad. So since
Dude.
I know,
God, what a fucking slime ball, dude. Like,
I know, and he really did blacklist her through all this. This is why during that time you didn't see her in that much. He really messed up her career.
wow, dude, that's crazy.
Isn't it?
Jesus fucking Christ.
Right.
So we could have had a better fucking... He basically fucked up history and somehow.
Right.
You know what I mean? For his fucking weird sexual fucking idiot crap.
Right. Exactly.
Ugh.
All right, moving on.
Yeah. What next? What do you have? You have any good news? Any positive news?
All right, so you know that the worst part of the movie that I hate with Quentin Tarantino in it.
Right.
Right, so...
Where his balls are falling.
Yes, so actually, if you remember that whole scene where his balls are falling and then his whole body starts transforming.
Right.
It is actually a nod to the thing of that whole process of it.
Okay.
So that was a nod to the thing.
Really?
Yeah.
That's what he said, huh?
Yeah.
That's crazy. I would have thought like The Blob, 1988,
Yeah, I know,
because of the way
right?
the face and the mouth was.
Right.
Like when he's reaching, that kid's reaching out and the blob falls on him from the ceiling. That whole, iconic scene.
Yeah, that makes more sense. But no, if you actually watch it in slow motion, you could kind of see what... Because, I mean, it wasn't like a head with or anything, but it was like the way it fell and then the things moved out.
Right.
It
Oh,
was
the
really
tentacles.
weird.
Yeah.
The tentacles.
That's what you're... I thought you were talking about his face melting.
Oh, no.
Yeah, okay. Because she shoots him in the eye or whatever, and then his face,
Right.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay. Well, that makes sense. Yeah, anything tentacles always feels like a nod to fucking that, because John Carpenter's like one of the biggest ones that actually take nods for H.P. Lovecraft.
Oh,
and
and
shit,
you reminded me too. Good. Thank you, Alex.
What?
I guess Robert Rodriguez is so inspired by John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Like, he wrote most of the score of this movie because he wants to be like John Carpenter.
Well, of course, everybody
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
Like he's
I
like,
thought it was pretty cool.
yeah, like he like every single one of there's directors out there that have shitty movies, and there's a few movies that John Carpenter's done that I'm not like bananas about, like Vampires or
Right.
The Ward.
Well, of course, you have to have your bad ones because
Right.
your good ones won't be.
But he always wanted to try to do new stuff, you know what I
Right.
mean? So, you're always going to have a mixed bag when you do that a little bit.
Right.
So, but yeah, he was good when he does In the Mouth of Madness and the thing. Obviously Halloween, but,
Right.
Anyway, what else? Is there anything else that you have?
So, Robert Rodriguez had a bunch of family and friends in the movie because, he wanted to do a lower budget movie. So his son, Rebel, who played Tony Block
Right.
in the movie, and
His, what's her name's son?
Dakota.
And Josh Brolin. I almost said James because last week we did Amityville.
Oh, nice. Yeah, so he played their son, who he had a pivotal part in the movie, and there was a part where she had come and picked him up from the twin babysitters. That was his nieces.
Yes, I heard about that, yeah.
On his wife's side. And he wanted them in the movie because they seriously act like that. They're like crazy. They're like half Puerto Rican and American. And
That's what he was saying.
Yeah, that's what he was saying, that they're crazy. So she picks up the kid because all the zombies are around going nuts and stuff, and they're driving to the grandfather's house, her father's house.
Right. That she apparently is estranged from.
Right, in forever.
They don't really explain that, but he is in Death Proof too, right?
I think so. I don't
Briefly.
remember, though. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember, though. So she gets out of the car to go up to the house, and before she gets out of the car, she tells him to grab a gun out of the glove compartment.
Yeah.
And tells him, if anybody comes to the car, shoot him.
Right.
But, don't shoot yourself. So she walks up and he
Bang!
Yeah, he shot himself in the head.
Bang!
And what's funny about that, since it was his son and he didn't want to traumatize his son, they ended up filming him surviving through the whole movie. So there is footage, and it is in the special features of the parts where they're like running to the helicopter with the kid and her putting the kid in the helicopter just so he could see himself in the movie surviving all the way to the beach at the end.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it was really cool. And also,
He's like telling the producers, look, I don't give a fuck. I'll take a salary cut. Just fucking make sure that I could do this. Because I want because that's part of the reason why he did Spy Kids, by the way.
right.
Because he couldn't watch, he couldn't have his kids watch any movies, so he started doing those, and those were actually really
and
successful.
And Rebel was in Spy Kids as
Right.
well. His kid Rebel was in Spy Kids. Also, the part, since we're talking about the kid, everybody talks about in the beginning when he was playing with his toys, and I'm gonna eat your brain and gain your knowledge.
Yeah.
Robert Rodriguez put that in the movie because he actually caught him saying that while he was playing with two dinosaur toys.
I always thought it was because of aliens, because like in Aliens, they basically, they mutate, they like gain some of the genetic coding and memories from other things. That's how they're so smart. Mm-hmm. So I always, because like, isn't he playing with like an alien toy?
I thought it was a dinosaur. I tried to look to see, but it didn't say anything.
I thought it was. I don't know. I should have looked again, but
yeah, I didn't find anything about that. But,
I'm going to eat your brains and save your knowledge.
Yeah, it really was a good line. But you were right though. The doctor. It is his real doctor.
Right.
In this scene. There's a scene.
Because we were talking about this, guys, when we were watching the movie. I was like, that's his doctor.
Yeah.
I was like, he was like creeped out by him because he was like looking at all these things. But anyway, go ahead.
Yeah. And do you know
who's Dr. Rodriguez?
Yeah, it was Robert Rodriguez's actual doctor.
Okay. And how'd that go down? Well, like, what happened with that?
Oh, you mean how did it happen? Oh, he just wanted him in the movie because he talks so fast about crazy stuff, and he was just like, let's put you in there and you just be yourself, and that literally is himself.
Right. Yeah.
In that movie.
But he did a good job too.
Yeah, I did. But you know that
so like callous, like so like medically worn, like that he's just like callous because other people are like shocked by it, but he's not anymore. He's like looking at like genital fucking like lesions and shit like that. Yeah.
Funny. So, okay, the paramedic, he's probably the most hilarious guy in the whole movie.
Right.
And he's not an actor. That was actually his friend. And Fergie, so Fergie's in the movie.
Right.
Very 2007 to have Fergie in your movie. So his friend, the paramedic, his name's Tom. Mm-hmm. So he was actually supposed to be that part of Fergie, and it was because in the main scene with Fergie, she's pulled over on the side of the road and was supposed to like be walking along the side of the road, and he was gonna put him in that scene because he actually told him this story about him being pulled over on the side of the road and walking down it and getting attacked, and thought he was gonna get attacked by zombies. But
really,
yeah. But instead, Fergie came along because Freddie Rodriguez actually did a music video with Fergie.
Okay.
And got them in contact somehow. So Robert Rodriguez was just like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to put Fergie in the movie. Okay, I'll just switch her character out because, why not have two chicks? It's a B movie,
Right, yeah.
So I thought that was
well,
funny.
it's funny that you mentioned Fergie because I got a feeling that tonight's going to be a good...
That was good.
Sorry.
That was good, Alex.
I had to do it.
That was good, Alex. You got me. You got me. And then one more friend, his real estate agent's in this movie. Do you have any idea who he was?
No.
He was the sleazy club owner.
I don't remember his face.
In the beginning, about the go-go dancers, like,
oh,
don't
it's
cry.
It's go, not cry.
Yeah.
It's supposed to be a happy dance. Yeah, that guy doesn't seem like a legitimate actor. Like, he just is. No. But he was funny in it. He was really good.
He was good. Especially at the end when the babysitter twins were, like, patting him down.
Yeah, when he, like, makes it to JT's fucking barbecue pit or whatever, the Bone Shack, and then he's like, oh... And then he realized he's like caught his breath, and then he looks down and they're like, oh my God. And he's like, oh.
It was really funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Dakota Block, I guess is her name. Her whole character, how she looks like, Robert Rodriguez wanted her to look like how Barbara Crampton looked like in From Beyond.
Oh,
yeah.
Wow.
Isn't that amazing?
Interesting. Yeah,
right?
That's cool.
Yeah.
What a throwback
cool.
nod there, dude. That's fucking cool as shit, because I love that movie. He must be a Cthulhu fan, like a fucking H.P. Lovecraft fan as well.
Yeah. He must be.
I want to mention one thing real quick, because do you remember the scene where Cherry Darling is saying she's going to quit the go-go bar when you were talking about that with that guy? And she says, she's like, I need a traumatic change in my life. He's like, why are you quitting? And she's like, I need a dramatic change. She's zipping up the leg that she loses on her boot as a foreshadow. I just thought it was cool because I never noticed it before.
Oh, yeah. No, that was really cool. And then what's funny, in the hospital when she lost her leg and the boot is just like standing in the hall.
Right.
Like her loose boot is just sitting in there.
Yeah, it's like a throwback of a throwback or throwback of a foreshadow.
I thought that was weird though. I was like, why did they just leave her fucking boot like sitting in the middle of her fucking room? Like, who does?
Is there? We're just gonna combine some of our scenes and trivia in here because I feel like it's a good time because we're just like flowing right now. But how about that scene where fucking the guy from Lost is collecting balls? Like he fucking loves balls in this, and then like the scene, it's like they're going to Abby, who's like running the plant. And apparently he had done something wrong where these creatures got out of their cage because they're mutants and they're that strong. It makes no sense because it gets out of the cage, but it can't break into things. But then, of course, we're doing a pastiche bad movie, so it totally makes sense. But he's like, I'm going to have to take your balls now. And he cuts his balls off, and they throw him on the fucking ground. He's got a big jar of fucking testicles, which is like, it's so gross. And the funny thing is like, I guess he gets hit by somebody, and he does like a flip in the air, and then falls down on the jar of balls that are all scattered across the ground. And it's like rubbing on his mouth. And he's like, it's just a gross part. But as he's getting up, he's like grabbing him and putting him in his pocket. Like, I just thought
because he doesn't want to lose them. He's like, he's so proud of his testicles.
Right. But I wonder if it was actually written in there or like he, as the actor, did it, or they thought of it last second, I don't know. It just seemed like one of those little, it's just funny, just those little things like that in the movie.
It's funny too because the part in the beginning when the testicles fell and he put his boot on it, that's actually a nod to Valley of the Dolls because in the beginning of the movie, it's like an egg or something.
It's been a while since I've seen that, so
I thought that was interesting.
That scene with the kid shooting himself, though, that you mentioned before, that is so, like, crazy.
It really
like, hearing that gunshot go off right fucking behind her, it's like, bang! It's like there's doesn't even skip a beat. Like, she's just, like, walks in front of the car and bang! It's like, oh, fuck.
Like
First of all, you never give a child a gun.
Right.
So it's like, but again, we're doing the old school bad movies.
Right.
So, like, logic is not supposed to be logical, guys.
Right. Oh, I also forgot to mention, because I was saying how they shot the whole thing with him. Also, when they were doing that scene, they didn't give him a real gun. It's special effects.
Right.
They gave him a water pistol.
And then changed it.
And then changed the whole thing. I thought that was interesting. So he did actually have
looked pretty legit.
Yeah.
They did the lighting
really
on it and everything right.
Oh, the scene with Fergie wheeled her in the hospital and it was that no-brainer joke. It looks like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah.
Like that was her real head, and they just put in, you know what I mean?
Made it look like that, yeah.
And I thought
they did a really good job.
They really did a really good job on the...
Yeah, because it's pretty gory.
It really is.
The other scene, there was another scene that I really liked a whole lot was with the main blonde-haired mom. Josh Brolin's like, hey, honey, I need the needles. And because that guy's got like an abscessed tongue. He's got like sores on his face. And they're like, they don't even know what to do. He's like, oh, we got to lop it off. And they all like, at the same time, they're like, he's like, well, what are you going to do? He's like, cut it off. and then he's like, I need the needles. And then she has this, she's like, see my friends? These are my friends. The first one. That's just to take away any of the pain. You'll know my first friend's working because my second friend here, you will hardly feel. And by the time you feel this third one, you'll never see me again. Wasn't there some...
That was a true story. It was
that was
one
like
of his other friends, and it actually happened to one of his friends.
When you say he, who are you talking about?
It actually happened to one of Robert Rodriguez's friends.
Okay.
It was a story where...
Yeah, because I remember that being a real thing, and it's like those are the things, that's the things that you do, I guess, when you're like a writer/director and shit. You just write shit down.
Right.
When you hear something cool or it just haunts you so much that you can't forget it.
Yeah.
You know, but that's like a really cool...
It really was.
Cool scene. And they even, like, it's like a callback later on, you know, like where they talk about, he's like trying to kill her with the needle, and he's like, you'll never see, he's like, see my friends? And he's stabbing her hand while she's holding the phones. Like, that was like creepy. Josh Brolin was creepy in that fucking role.
Yeah, he really
And then he
was.
gets that fucking sore put on his face. It's like some tense moments in that too, you know? Dude, remember when we were watching and you were fucking like, we were cracking up?
Yes.
Because, like, normally Christina gets really offended by dog killing in a movie, but because I guess the tone of this movie is so ridiculous that she doesn't care. Because when
I care.
Yeah, but when we watched John Wick, I had to hold you down. Because I was like, you just gotta let it seep into you, baby, because you're gonna love murdering everyone after this. But she's like, when they drive away from when they're driving away from JT's shack or the bone shack, they're driving away because it's burning down, and they like all get in these cars, and one of them gets on one of those micro bikes.
The mini bikes.
Yeah, El Rey does.
Ridiculous.
And then they're like running into fucking infected people and just smashing them. They're just like popping like with like water-filled fucking watermelons, just exploding when they hit them. And it's so gratifying. And then you see like there's the JT's dog is in the convertible car, the 4-5-seater, and he's like, "Oh no, dog!" And the dog jumps out, and you just see it go under the wheel, and we were like, "Whoa!" That shit just had me rolling, dude.
And then it panned back on him going, "God damn it!"
Yeah, it sprays the twins.
It totally sprayed.
Like, I don't even know how it sprayed the twins, but it's funny.
Ridiculous.
Like, they didn't get sprayed by all the fucking...
the zombies and shit.
But again,
dog. Yeah.
Terrible
Ridiculous.
movie, meant to be terrible. And then, of course, our favorite part, which is, like, El Rey is dying, and he gets shot up ridiculously. It's like, why is he getting shot up, first of all? This guy's untouchable, you know what I mean? He can do anything. He dodges fucking blood squirting out after stabbing people, but he catches all these bullets, and then and she's like, "Oh my God, Ray, why? Why? I thought it was going to be me and you, 2 against the world, baby." And he's like, "It still is. I never miss." Then he rubs her belly, and she's like, "I'm pregnant." Oh my God. That was a callback joke too, because he talks about it never missing in something earlier. "I have this jacket. I looked for it for 2 weeks." If I have to hear you tell that fucking story again, "Did you look in the pocket?" What? No. Yeah, anyway. Is there anything other scenes you want to mention?
Well, but when Bruce Willis's scenes were awesome.
When he popped or whatever?
No. When like in the beginning, when like everyone started shooting and everyone was shooting at him, and he just turns his head and then he just shoots and he doesn't miss anybody. Just like bam, bam, bam. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, it's Bruce Willis.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, and that was really good. The special effects at the end when he turns into the zombie thing.
Yeah, it pops.
And then he just explodes everywhere. That was really cool.
Yeah, that was pretty
that
cool. We did watch another movie in the same vein of the same tone, I guess you could say. And we're going to be talking about that now. That is Cabin in the Woods. And that came out in 2011. Now, the story on this is 5 friends go for a break at a remote cabin where they get more than they bargained for, discovering the truth behind the cabin in the woods. It was, of course, written, directed by Drew Goddard, who did Bad Times at El Royale. He's also directing X-Force with the Deadpool in it, by the way, and Zazie Beetz and Josh Brolin. So I'm curious about that. He's mostly known for writing Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, the TV series, and the movie. Or no, he didn't do the movie. He did 5 episodes on Buffy. He did Angel episodes as well. He did Lost episodes.
Of course.
And Cloverfield he wrote the screenplay for. He also did World War Z, The Martian, and many more. Also is writer Joss Whedon, of course, who obviously did Buffy, the Vampire Slayer, the movie as well, Firefly, the Avengers Age of Ultron he's directed, and he'll also be directing a new World War II horror project with no title yet, by the way. So I'm curious what that's going to be. But he's also more of a writer, just like Drew was. They both become directors, writers, and producers now. But he's written Toy Story.
Oh, really?
The original
original?
Toy Story, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Wow.
Buffy, the movie, Buffy the Vampire Slayer movie, Alien Resurrection, Avengers, and Avengers Age of Ultron, plus Justice League he also wrote, and many more.
Oh.
Some of the cast includes Kristen Connolly, who plays Dana. She's the redhead in the movie. She's like the main actress. She was in The Happening, Meet Dave. She was in a ton of As the World Turns soap opera.
Is that where she started, you think?
I don't know. She had some stuff before that, but she was in a lot of those. She was also in House of Cards, and she was in the Zoo TV show that your dad liked a lot.
That was a good book.
Obviously, we have Chris Hemsworth. I think, how do you say Chris Hems? I'm kidding. I'm fucking around. Chris Hemsworth. He plays the guy Thor. I mean, he plays Kurt. But yeah, it's Thor.
He's Thor forever.
Yeah, obviously, so figure it out. Snow White and the Huntsman. He did that movie. He did Vacation, the remake, the one with Ed Helmsley. He did Star Trek. I think he plays Kirk's father.
Ooh, yeah.
I can't remember.
I can't remember either.
And he was in Star Trek Into Darkness, Red Dawn reboot, Jay and Silent Bob reboot, Men in Black International, and many more. He's doing a lot of reboots. Yeah. It's actually technically Men in Black is just a side canon.
Right.
Yeah. Also has Anna Hutchinson, who is the blonde girl. She plays Jules. She was the Yellow Cheetah Ranger in Power Rangers Jungle Fury. For any of you Power Rangers fans out there. She was in the TV show Wild Boys, Spartacus, Vengeance, A Love Story, and more. It also stars Fran Kranz, who plays Marty the Pothead. He was in The Village, The Dark Tower, Blood-Sucking Bastards, which I love. Oh, you pop Reggie? Aww.
Oh, I don't remember.
That's the one where they're like corporate vampires and they live in the building.
Shit, I don't remember.
Yeah, that's a really funny one. If you guys are into like funny, like the What We Do in the Shadows type stuff, it's kind of along those lines. He was also in Rebirth, You Might Be the Killer, and more. Also stars Jesse Williams, who plays Holden. He was the guy on the two-way mirror. He was in Dirty Dancing 3, Capoeira Nights.
3? What?
I was like, wait, they made a third one?
Yeah, what?
He was also the main actor in Detroit Become Human video game. He was also in the new Jacob's Ladder as well. He's in Grey's Anatomy and more. Also stars Richard Jenkins, who plays Sitterson. He was in The Shape of Water, The Visitor, Step Brothers. He was the father of one of the kids.
Oh.
He was Burn After Reading, Bone Tomahawk, 6 Feet Under as well, The Witches of Eastwick, and many more.
Oh, wow.
He's been around for a long time. Very cool. Bradley Whitford's also in this movie. He is Hadley. He is in Get Out, Saving Mr. Banks, RoboCop 3, Billy Madison, Happy-ish TV show, and A Handmaid's Tale.
Oh.
These guys, these two together, are fucking amazing.
They're hilarious.
The movie's budget was about $30 million, and it made about $66 million at the box office. What are your thoughts about this movie?
I thought it was unexpected. Like, when I first saw it, totally unexpected. Was not...
They kept a wrap on it, but we don't want to say what it is, because
exactly.
This is the spoiler-free section.
It's not what you think it is.
Right, that's their big thing.
Yeah, and it was really well done. It was well written and acted and everything. I enjoyed it.
Do you remember when you first saw it?
Yeah, I saw it with you.
Did we watch it together?
Yeah, we watched it together for the first time.
I vaguely remember it, but I don't know.
Yeah, no, because I
remember us watching the Thing reboot or the prequel.
Yeah, but we watched this. It was here, and we ended up watching it the next day too. We watched it twice.
Yeah,
we watched it 2 times.
Oh, we
in a
didn't get
row.
to see it at the theater.
No,
that's what it was.
I don't know if we rented it or what, but yeah, and it was just like what, like
yeah, like why didn't we not? We went. I think didn't we buy it immediately?
Yeah, and then we bought
because
it
we knew because everybody was talking about it so much.
Yeah.
Shame on us, huh?
Yeah.
That happens sometimes, though, right? You plan to go see a movie, right, guys? And then all of a sudden, some shit fucking happens, and you're not fucking... you can't go see it because there's, like, too much shit going on. Mm-hmm. Well, what would you add to it?
I liked all the scenes. It flowed well.
Yeah.
Yeah, the beginning was good. You really got a sense of the characters, even though they changed. Mm-hmm. They morphed. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, I don't know what else to say without spoiling it.
Yeah, it's kind of hard.
Yeah, it really is, because the story is so complicated.
It really is. And where it takes you is just like...
right. Oh, there's tension. I really like that. There was like tension in the whole
weird,
thing.
Inappropriate moments, right?
Yes, exactly. And that was one of my... It was a weird scene, this weird tension.
Yeah. We'll talk about it more in the spoilers section, but...
What did you think about the movie?
Well, I think that this movie is one of those so fun, it's hard not to like kind of movies. You know, I know that there's people out there that are not a fan of this one.
Oh,
for
yeah,
sure.
they think it's overrated.
Yeah, like, I don't know why there's so
weird.
much weird hatred for this movie. I mean, whatever. You know, hey, you're sorry that you're not part of the group. I'm just kidding. But it's a perfect blend of comedy, horror, and gore that I absolutely love. I think some of my favorite movies are probably comedy, horror movies. Like, when they're done right, they're done right. And this is one of those ones that kind of really push the boundaries and kind of, as they say, flip horror on its head in a lot of ways. Like I said, I mean, there are some people out there that just don't like it, but those people are dead inside, so. But I would definitely put this in the category of always rewatch. There's really not that many films like it, and it's amazing to me that this movie sat on the shelf for as long as it did. And we'll get into that in the spoiler section. But the acting at times can be pretty over the top, but it somehow kind of manages to kind of like rein it in a little bit to keep it from going into the absurd, which they talk about, and in the extras and stuff. The movie kind of lets you in on the fun pretty early on too, but for those of you who have not seen it, you will be surprised. Like we mentioned, kind of, are there some of you out there who haven't seen this? I'm 100% sure. There has to be some of you, but if you haven't seen this movie, you should definitely rectify that. When the mask of the movie is like fully revealed to you guys, it just unleashes every horror fan's dreams on the screen. Like, honestly, it really is. Plus, it's pretty accessible to like fans of just visiting this genre for like Halloween or something.
Oh yeah, this is a go-to.
It kind of covers all the bases. It's for people who are not big fans of horror who just like to visit. But it certainly doesn't mean that it doesn't have treats for avid horror fans too, though.
Right.
Because...
Oh, totally. There's so many references.
Right. It's more about tropes, I think, that you've seen in all too many movies, if you're a horror fan, that you can appreciate. Although I will say that it's probably most nod-heavy or trope-heavy from Evil Dead 2.
Right. Well, for obvious reasons.
Right.
Cabin in the woods.
Right,
so
but there's more than that, and I'll
Right,
get into that later. It's not exactly scary, but they did a damn good job on the practical effects in this film and the CGI in this film. Like, it was I thought it was great, man. Like, it fit the perfect style.
I think it was a little dated for the time, a little bit.
You think?
Yeah, I do.
I don't remember. But I thought they did a good job of blending it. Like, for me, there's parts in the movie that I didn't even realize were CGI.
Yeah.
That I can't talk about right now. That you'll be like, oh, it was? So. But you got Chris Hemsworth, Fran Kranz, Anna Hutchinson play pretty great main roles. For me, Richard Jenkins and Bradley Whitford really land those comedic punches and charm. They're like just perfect together. Like, I can't even... Their back and forth banter is literally one of the most natural things I've seen in a fucking comedy movie. It's just so funny. And I'd say that the soul of the film in a lot of ways, other than the horror aspect and watching kids get killed, of course, is those two.
Right.
For me.
Right.
Although it does kind of feel like Fran Kranz movie too, in a way. Marty, the pothead.
Feels like what?
Feels like his movie in a lot of ways.
Oh yeah, totally.
But even if he's only a supporting actor, but I guess, that's also why this film is so good. All the people that are in it really are firing on all cylinders. So it's really working well for what the tone of the movie is supposed to be.
Right.
So I'd probably give this movie like a 9 or 9.5 as well.
Right.
Because, it just doesn't get old to me. If you're one of the few lucky ones that have missed it,
watch it.
Watch it
now.
If you enjoy movies like Evil Dead 2, you're going to love it in some respects. It may not be scary, but it's going to be memorable for you, and you're going to laugh.
Right.
There is some really funny shit in it. Like, that's what it's so weird to me that, like, fans of, like, horror love it, and people who are not fans of horror love it.
Right.
That is very rare.
It's because it's a good story.
Right. I think it's accessible that way, but it's just like, it's like all the funny moments to us horror fans are like, oh, yeah, here it goes,
Right,
that typical thing.
Right.
So, But I do have some trivia on it, guys, so that if you haven't listened or seen the movie, you might not want to spoil it for yourself, although I find it hard to believe that either of these movies are really that unpopular for people not have heard or at least watched it once. But fair warning to you now. So the movie that they shot for this, they shot it in Vancouver, Canada. They said that the woods were really amazing up there.
Oh, so those were real woods.
Yes.
Wow.
When they were shooting in the woods, that was real woods. There were some areas that they shot inside that were in studios, but those were the real woods. And it was winter time, by the way.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yeah.
there was water scenes too.
Right, nude scenes too.
Yeah. Oh.
Right.
Cold. I don't like cold.
Well, I don't know about the water scene I think that was actually outside. So, but yeah, even Drew Goddard was like, yeah, at first I was like, I've never been to Canada, so I don't know what these woods are going to look like. And he was like, honestly, it's more thick and more dark than U.S. forests.
See, I would have thought that was a studio set.
Right. Well, it's just how they lit it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
This is obviously the director debut of Drew Goddard and the producer debut of Joss Whedon. On their collaborative effort. So Drew Goddard and Joss Whedon, they had worked on Buffy the Vampire Slayer together and became friends through that. And then as they were both writers, would hang out on the weekends and write scripts together because they liked doing it. And they were like, we got to write a movie sometime. We got to make a movie. So literally this idea for this movie was birthed on the set of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And they kind of it sat and grew and grew and grew in their minds until they finally just sat down. It took them, they said it was 2 years after Buffy and Angel ended that they sat down and wrote it in 3 days. They had he called it a dual story hotel, and Joss was downstairs and Drew was upstairs, and they would just write all day from 6 a.m. to 1 a.m. at night. And they would get 5 hours sleep and then do it again the next day. So in 3 days they did this.
Wow.
And they said it was probably one of the most effortless, perfect working environments they'd ever had to write something. He said they never once traipsed over and said, hey, no, I want to do that scene or anything. They had already known what the scenes that they wanted. They did their scenes and they added things. Like Joss Whedon said, one of his favorite parts in their writing process that he remembers was that at the end of the movie, if there's a werewolf, and he was like, yeah, do you think we should let the werewolf run off because it's not silver bullets? He was like, yeah, I was thinking that too. Yeah, let's do it. And he was like, okay, I'm living in a fucking dreamland right now. This is insane. The only time that they actually butted heads was one time when Joss said, hey, I'm liking this so much that I kind of want to direct it. And they had already established that Drew was going to do it because Drew had never done direction. And he was like, well, that's not really nice. And he said that Joss had relented on, and let him do it but he said that he wasn't upset about it because he knew that if Joss was that excited about it, that it was going to be a hit. So,
well, that's a good thing.
Right. Now, once they completed this movie, it was all done. Everything was pretty much fucking done, the whole fucking thing. MGM, who made the movie, went bankrupt.
Oh, it was around that time. That makes sense.
So right after they made this movie, can you imagine just the nightmare of how long that sat on the shelf for years? And then, the inner crisis you're having as a artist that wants to get their work out there and let it free into the wild.
Right.
And how much money it cost to make this movie. $30 million is not, it's a lot of money. They made it stretch, I'm sure, but.
Right. How did this end up getting released then, if they went bankrupt?
Well, they had a sit down with Lionsgate. They actually got a hold of the film.
Oh, that's right, it's Lionsgate.
Yeah, they said, it was obviously the first of all, the bankruptcy was obviously out of their control. So Drew and Joss couldn't do shit about it. They were like, even James Bond and Hobbit got delayed, so we ain't shit compared to that. You know what I mean? So he said it was the best possible outcome for them because Lionsgate happened to catch it and loved it and then instantly picked it up and put it out.
Oh, that's
so
good.
He said the wait was worth it because he thinks that it got better reception because of them. Had they put it out right before they did the bankruptcy, it might not have.
Right.
So he's like, careful what you wish for. That's what he said. The basement in this movie, by the way, did you like that?
The basement?
Yeah, the basement scenes.
Oh, when they go down there to choose?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the basement was like an entire studio, by the way. They made the wood and the boards.
So that was in the... okay.
Yeah, so it wasn't in an actual cabin, even though they built an actual cabin in the woods.
Right. It was just the outside.
I believe so. They didn't
Yeah,
really
you would
talk
think.
about it, but I do, you would think that it would definitely be. But I think there was a scene where they were like actually walking in the door, but I just couldn't confirm it.
Right.
So I don't know. I would think that it would be all the interior shots were in a studio and all the exterior and woods were outside actually. So, but anyway, Drew actually procured all of the little pieces in that basement though.
There was a lot in there too.
Yeah.
It was packed.
He knew every little story Joss said. He was like, oh, he knows every little story about it. And I guess they were going to ask him in an interview or something when they were walking around, filming behind the scenes stuff. And he was like, yeah, no, thanks.
It's too much.
Yeah, it's too much. So
It's funny though, because they should have had storyboards or something, lists of every little thing.
Well, they came up with 60
back.
fucking creatures
Yeah.
on their own.
That's crazy.
That they, some that are on film, some that aren't.
Right.
Some that are on the screen in the fucking in the main operation room and shit. He called it the upstairs and then the downstairs. There's the upstairs kids and the downstairs boys. You know what I mean? So, that scene, remember we were talking about how everything was outside and they were jumping in the water? When they were jumping, the kids are jumping in the lake. Apparently Franz Kranz, he's the stoner guy in the movie Marty. He doesn't jump in, you noticed, right? But I didn't think anything of it.
Right.
Because I was like, oh, he's probably a stoner. He doesn't want to jump in the water for whatever reason. But the reason that they had him out of the water, because he was originally supposed to.
He can't swim?
No.
Oh.
He's so ripped.
Yeah. Really?
That he made the other actors, other than Chris Hemsworth, obviously. Well, I don't know. They just said he was too ripped and that it wouldn't make him look like it was...
A stoner and...
Yeah, like a lazy stoner kind of do-nothing guy.
That's funny.
So he said, they even said in the commentary, apparently, that they called him Rip Jesus. Or he was like a muscular Jesus. Also, speaking of Marty, by the way, that the coffee bong that he had, the coffee thermos bong, they actually made that as a working apparatus.
Oh, wow.
They spent $5,000
Oh, my God.
to make it work.
Well, might as well make it work since he used it as a weapon. And
Right. Well, yeah, they kind of had to, right?
Yeah.
But the one that he was smoking in the car, when he pulls up in the very beginning of the movie, that car is the same model that Drew Goddard drove in high school. So he wanted to have it in the movie.
Right, the same car.
Right. And you know that scene where he's like, Marty leaves the window rolled down and then locks the door from the outside? He said that he used to do that as a weird habit.
Seriously, not a joke?
Yeah, that was a real thing. So it was like a nod to his
weirdness.
His weirdness, yeah. Also, speaking of the basement, I forgot to mention this, too, is that, when Dana is reading for the diary about the fucking husband bulge and shit? She's all like, she reads the last thing, which was
Dolor supervivo caro, dolor sublimos caro, dolor ignio animos.
It means pain outlives the flesh. Pain raises the flesh. Pain ignites the spirit. Which is kind of like a combo thing because the book is kind of like Evil Dead.
Right.
And then pain is kind of like Hellraiser.
Right.
So
it was clever.
Because what do they call them? They call them backwoods fucking zombie pain worshipping freaks in the movie or whatever, right? So I was looking at some of the IMDb notes, and for those of you who check IMDb, just as a word of warning, some of the stuff is actually pretty accurate. But I always try to do a little bit of double checking, and I'm glad that I did because when I watched the extras, there's one in there that says Jamie Lee Curtis was supposedly considered for the role of the director, the character, the director in the film.
Right at the end.
Right, which they obviously had Sigourney Weaver play. The truth of that statement is wrong. Sigourney Weaver was always the first and last choice for that role. Well, actually, they were going to have a male play it. They didn't have it. Was just a gender-neutral fucking character.
Right.
And they decided that both of them decided that they would be more interesting to have, like, a woman play it. And they were like, who's the most badass woman we could have? And they were like, Sigourney Weaver.
Right.
And she said, yep. She came on set the first day and was, like, so excited about being in the role.
Right.
And she was just like, oh, hey. She's like, where's the werewolf? When's the werewolf showing up? And he was like, well, it's not a real werewolf, you know, like you're going to tell. And she's like, yeah, but I got to get a picture with it or something like that. You know, like, he's like, well, we got a whole movie, you know, if you want to have a picture, you can put that up on your wall. And then,
that's funny.
And then apparently when she was done, like, I guess she asked them for their signatures on her script.
Oh, cool.
So they were like, what? They're like, you're Sigourney Weaver. And she wanted their signature. So they were just like so blown away. He said he was so nervous.
Aww,
Drew said he was
cool.
so nervous about it, you know. But, you know, obviously Joss Whedon's worked with her with Alien Resurrection.
Right.
For the screenplay for that, so. Oh, one thing that I always remember, I don't know if you remember this back in the day, but do you remember there was like a picture circulating online and social media, probably MySpace back in the day, but there was a picture of Pinhead. And at the time, people were talking about them possibly rebooting and remaking fucking Pinhead or Hellraiser.
I don't remember that, but yeah.
So there was a picture of this the Pinhead-esque sort of guy with saws in his head,
right,
floating around, and people were so upset about it.
Oh, okay.
That was this guy in this movie. So it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah, that's funny.
I remember how, I mean, you know, obviously there's going to be people on both sides of the coin to that argument, you know, like, oh, well, maybe it's different. You know, it could be good. And they're like, that doesn't look like him. It's not Pinhead. You know, like.
Right.
Do you have any funny scenes that you want to like, or scenes in general that you want to talk about?
Well, the tension scene I was talking about earlier.
Yeah, go ahead, go into that.
That was the part where the two business guys.
Yeah, the downstairs business guys.
Yeah, the downstairs business guys, and the cave didn't collapse because the kids were just figuring out what was going on. So they all get in the
They're
RV.
problem solving in the basement. And it's like this tension down there.
But then they get up and they get in the RV and they start headed towards, because they're like, we're gonna get out of here. And then all of a sudden they realize there wasn't a cave in.
Yeah.
And then the guy's like frantically like running down the hall, and then. And then he goes into like the control room or the server room or something, and then like it was so intense because he was like, "Oh, I gotta get these wires to get the cave."
Right, it's like you're supposed to be rooting for the kids to get out, but
right.
But horror fans are like rooting for the guys to keep them from going. You know, it's like it's a weird dichotomy there.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yeah. But of course, the part where the elevators and all the creatures were releasing.
Fuck
of course.
yeah, dude. That was the moment that. Well, first of all, when I remember when we first watched it, and I remember that scene where they find the elevator, and I was like, wait, what?
Yeah, what
like,
the fuck?
Oh, they're gonna get down there now. Like, oh my god, I thought this movie was not gonna go that far.
Right.
And then I was like, then the elevator scene happens. Holy shit!
I mean, that was, or even them just going through the elevator with the windows, and then the creatures coming up to the windows.
Yeah, it's like it was like a spook house fucking ride, you know, where you're like going through and seeing all the creatures.
Right.
You know what I mean
crazy.
by like the carnival rides?
Oh yeah, like the fair haunted house.
Yeah,
rides.
they call them spook house.
Oh,
but I also call stuff spook house because it's ghost pictures.
Right.
Ghost pictures. Have you liked the ghost picture films? Anyway. One of the first things that really made me laugh was, of course, the whole throwback to the fucking old anti-drug ad.
At the beginning.
With the books. And he's like, where did you get these? Who gave these to you?
Swinging the textbooks around.
She's like, what? She's all playing coy. And he's like, where did you get these? And she's like, I learned it from watching you. And runs off. Dude, that fucking commercial when I was a kid cracked me the fuck up. They kind of make a nod to that in one of the Harold and Kumar movies where the guy's like, do you remember that in the first Harold and Kumar?
I don't remember.
Go to White Castle or whatever. They like have this fake anti-drug ad and he's like, they're like getting high as fuck on the couch and they're watching one. And the guy's like, I don't know what I'm doing. And he reaches into the gun case. And he's like pointing the gun at his face. He's like, what am I doing? Bang. And he's like, don't do drugs.
You'll shoot your face. You'll shoot your eye out.
Dude, those I'm sorry. Like, I'm not saying drugs are good, guys, but like, fuck.
Some of the commercials they've had are...
They're so ridiculous.
But it was just so hilarious they put that at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, that was really great.
Really good. And even if you didn't know what it was or what it was referencing, just them playing it out like that was hilarious.
Well, it's funny because like when I went to IMDb to look at some of the trivia to see what they had on top of the stuff I had, I was like, oh my God, like they actually put in there, they're like, that is a reference to an anti-drug thing. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so fucking old. You know?
It's all turning into anti-vaping now.
Do you remember? Yeah, it is kind of like
really
that.
Is.
Yeah, but
it's
I don't know,
happening.
you know, who knows if that's whatever, you know, I don't know enough about it.
Right.
The fucking harbinger, the fucking gas station attendant.
Oh, yeah, when he calls.
Well, just that whole situation in general is like totally I'm going to get into some of the nods that I think that these all represent, by the way, guys, after we get over our scenes here. So if you want to stick around for that, it's just, I'm just going to point out a few. It's not that heavy. It's not even that bad, but there's things I thought about. But the gas station attendant is a total trope. And they do have that whole speakerphone conversation where he's like, am I on the speakerphone?
That was really funny.
Yeah, he's like, no. He's like, I am. I'm on the sorry about that. Yeah. He's like, am I off now? He's like, yeah. Well, God will bring down the hail and Satan take him away from the darkness, blah, blah, blah. And then he's like, I'm on speakerphone again, aren't I? I love that. I don't know why, but that was their first scene that they ever wrote.
Oh, for the movie?
Yeah.
Oh, funny. Yeah, that was it was a good thing to do.
Yeah, apparently I think Drew did the majority work on it, but I think Joss had initialized that thought. And that's what cemented the tone of the movie for them. Mm-hmm. Is that encapsulated everything they wanted the film to be. It's just that little moment there. I also thought it was really funny. I think we were laughing about this when the Japanese team defeats the school ghost. And they turn it into a frog.
Yeah, that was good.
And all the little Japanese kids are celebrating. It's like a really happy moment. And fucking Richard Jenkins is all like, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Like,
to the kids.
And they're like, yay!
That was really good.
I was like, Jesus, they're little children. Obviously, the merman kill, you like that one.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah, where he...
Well, I didn't like it. Well, actually, I liked it.
It's pretty funny.
Oh, it's funny because he's like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
The cosmic fate that would be that he's like infatuated with this stupid fucking creature.
But then when he actually killed him and he's like eating him and then the snort, what's that snorkel thing on his back?
On his back.
Started just spraying blood everywhere.
Blowhole. On the back.
He just wanted the blood.
But yeah, you wanted to talk about the end, so I'll let you talk about that a little bit right now.
Oh, I like the end because you didn't expect them to just give up like that.
Right, and I got some theories and some ideas that I think would work in this movie for a prequel, guys. And I know prequels kind of like a cringy thing. A little bit, you know?
Yeah, but if they do it every year, like, you know, The Purge, I mean, you might...
Right, but there's a specific scene in the movie that I'll mention after we talk about the end.
Oh, okay.
I'll save it. But anyway, what do you like about the end in particular?
So at the end, when it was Sigourney Weaver and the other two, and Sigourney Weaver was trying to convince the chick to shoot the guy... And you were like, oh, God, she's going to do it.
Yeah, that seemed a little unrealistic, but yeah.
Yeah, but it was so cool that they just, the werewolf came out and bit her. That was really cool.
She's like, I'm so sorry. And then he's like, no, I'm sorry. And she's like, ah.
That was really good. And then
I thought you were talking about the hand coming out of the ground.
Oh, yeah, that too. I was getting there. Because them just giving up and letting the world end. I mean, you don't see that in movies, so it's like unexpected that they just let the world end. They were just like, fuck it. But yeah, when the ashes started coming down and everything, and that hand that came up, and I was like, oh, what movie did I think that looked like? Like The Dead Don't Die or something? That
yeah, because it does kind of
it looks like it. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, The Dead Don't Die by Jim Jarmusch.
Yeah. I didn't see that, but it just reminded me of that
Yeah, it kind of does. No,
cover.
it really does. Just because of the
poster.
sky and the color and everything like that. Yeah. Here's my idea for the prequel, because in the movie, I don't know if you guys remember this. I got to mention this because I think they could do a prequel, and not in the sense of, oh, well, they do it every year, but there's a specific date. I think he says, I didn't write it down for some dumbass reason, and I've mentioned it before, I think when we talked about this once before. But if you listen, he talks about like an incident in 1994. Like, we don't want another incident like back in 1994.
Oh, okay.
Or
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like in the 90s.
That's right, yeah.
And here's why I think that would work. One, you got both those two guys in the basement. Uh-huh. And anybody else they wanted to include, probably some different people, but those two guys in particular could be part of the incident that happened. Uh-huh. Do you know what I mean?
You could,
And how they stopped it.
Right.
Or whatever. And it has to be some like fantastic story as to how they stopped it.
Right.
And I think that would be kind of fun, right? Like you could kind of
totally.
You could figure it out. Like you could do it in a almost like a reverse way of how they did this one. In a way, I don't know how to explain it.
Yeah, it would be cool.
I think it would be fun. I don't know. I think I've tried to reach out to them a couple of times to see if they would ever. I'm a little surprised that they haven't even attempted to do it. Maybe it's just a insurmountable task that to be able to come up with another concept that's as good, and maybe it's just better as it is.
Right.
You know,
right.
like I just like being in that world. You know, like it's kind of like the Thing reboot. I always was talking about that to Jason and in the Micah Madness recently. He was like, I like the Thing reboot or the prequel or whatever. And I was like, yeah, I've always kind of enjoyed it. Like, even if I don't, it's nowhere near as good as the first one.
Right.
I think the idea of just being back in that world while still having my cake and eat it too is kind of nice.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Do you think there should ever be a prequel of any sort? I think it's way too hokey to do a sequel.
You can't do a sequel.
Yeah, where they stop the fucking gods.
But, yeah.
It seems a little too much.
Apocalypse.
Yeah, like it would turn into like Attack on Titan or some shit, you know what I mean? Supposedly, by the way, that hand coming out of the ground, they had talked about possibly doing something with tentacles.
Ah, that'd been cool.
But they said that they wanted to keep it a little bit more human in the sense that, yeah, they're bigger and they're gods, but maybe they have the same trials and tribulations and stupid shit like humans do. Yeah. So he wanted to kind of keep that kind of familiarity.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So before we go, I'm going to mention some of the connections in the movie. You can tell me if you agree.
Okay.
Or if you even know. But the gas station that I mentioned earlier is a nod to possibly, even though it's been done in many movies, where they go to the gas station first.
And
they talk to the guy, and then I think it's been in like Wrong Turn. I think it was in like The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of other movies off the top of my head. If you guys know any more, I would love to hear them just because my brain's farting right now. The cabin we talked about, obviously being Evil Dead. You have the cellar door that pops up.
Yeah.
Just like Evil Dead 2.
Yeah.
Someone's in my fruit cellar. Where she's... They even have deadites on the board for when they're making bets.
Oh,
when he goes up there, it was on the left-hand side,
yeah.
and I looked on the left, and it was like right there, deadites.
Nice.
And I think they even have a nod to. I remember seeing this. I don't know if I can't confirm it, but if you've ever seen Sin City,
right?
And you know Elijah Wood plays the guy with the glasses,
right?
That they're like white shades and like he's like this creepy ominous character. There was that guy in it, the Informer, I think that's what he was called. They put it on there as a joke. They obviously choose hillbillies who worship pain,
right,
instead of deadites, but it is all very familiar.
Oh yeah,
you know,
all of them.
A little different, but it is very familiar. One of them gets their arm removed and helps escape the guard in the building. Where he's like, thanks, dead arm.
Oh, that's right, in the elevator.
That's totally kind of a nod to Evil Dead 2, right? I mean, like, they said nothing was intentional, but...
Oh, yeah, come on.
Plus, in the chaos scene by the elevators, when everything's gone to shit, and you see this girl in the background, and she's walking very slowly to this downed guard, who's bleeding and like trying to back up slowly in his like injured state, and she's singing the Mama's gonna buy you a diamond ring. Like you can hear it just faintly.
Right.
And I never noticed that before until this time. So, and I've seen that movie like at least 10, 15 times. So let's see, what else do we have? We have the people who are wearing the masks, the little baby doll masks. It's kind of a strangers thing.
Yeah.
I also kind of feel like that house on Haunted Hill was in there too, represented by the doctors, the crazy doctors.
Oh, uh-huh.
Right?
Right.
At least the reboot.
Because, the
reboot more and so than
Right.
than the original because then you also have, obviously, the clown. That's just to name a few.
Oh, yeah.
There's obviously from It.
Right.
Apparently, that guy who was the clown was also the movement director. So he was the person teaching everyone how to move for their characters.
He was a pretty creepy clown.
Right. Well, and even Joss was like, that was like kind of unsettling in a few moments, seeing the clown constantly tell everybody how to act. So,
I bet.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. There's probably more nods in there. We got Hellraiser. We got the little ball. That's a pretty obvious one. But there's some little tiny ones in there. Apparently, one of the last things I'll mention is that in that basement, they had like this fortune-telling machine. I don't know if you caught it. Tucked way in the back.
I didn't catch that.
And I'm wondering what that nod is. And I don't know if it's big. Because remember?
Yeah, because that's the only one you would
But it's
think
not
of.
horror, right? So you wouldn't think that. These are like
Yeah.
living nightmares that they created in their lab.
Well, I mean, it might be a nightmare to switch, to be a grown-up when you're a child overnight.
Well, they were talking about it in this weird panel, I guess. I can't remember what convention it was, but it was a con. And they were talking about it after they watched the movie. They were saying that apparently Joss had to use his production powers. He was like, all right, you need to get that for Drew. It was like it was going to cost extra money, and Drew had to have it in there because he had procured that whole basement. Another thing about that basement that I forgot to mention is that when they first showed up on set after decorating it and they had the lighting put up, it was lit way too Hollywood.
Oh.
And so he spent 2 hours ripping down the lights and then putting it up as it is. And Joss said that was actually his favorite scene in the movie because of the lighting that Drew did for that.
That makes it, because it was really dark, but like cluttered.
Right. So it made it look even more filled with like trinkets and mysteries. and
creepily, not like treasures.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like you found the treasure trove.
Yeah. Well, these are definitely the kind of dolls that will suck the soul out of your head.
Yeah.
So. But that's pretty much it for this week, guys. Have you seen these movies? Do you like Cabin in the Woods? Do you agree with us? Do you not like it? Totally cool. I don't mind. Do you guys like these movies? Did you enjoy one over the other? I would love to find that out. I'm sure I'll post it in social media. But thank you so much, Christina, for filling in.
Thank you.
It was fun.
It was fun.
And she's up way past her bedtime, guys. She's got to get up in like 6 hours. She's going to hate me tomorrow. So we're going to wrap it up here for her.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for all your work and everything. It was fun, baby.
It was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. But guys, next week we'll be back. I'm not even sure what the fuck we're doing. I'm not even sure who the fuck's going to be on. But we'll figure it out. If you guys have any suggestions for movies for the Halloween season and you hear this by Monday, I might switch it up and change it if you guys pick something. As long as we haven't done it. And I can't say
recently.
That. Yeah, because we probably did Cabin in the Woods. I just couldn't find the episode because I don't know. I've gotten more organized now, okay? Anyway, guys, thanks so much for coming by. And as always, long live the void.